following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
That's not good. That's all right. Let's do that one. Hey, guys. Welcome into the Wicked Wheat Studios. As always, the Sportsocracy is brought to you by Wicked Wheat Brewing. WickedWheatBrewing.com. Drink different. I'm going to steal Kelvin Joyner's line. On the day we didn't want to talk NBA, all the NBA shit happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Playoff P. Paul George showed up.
He did.
Ben Simmons may have legally died in the fourth quarter. What in the fuck was that?
Trust the process, baby.
Oh my God. It was probably one of the worst collapses I've seen in a playoff game in a very, very long time.
I'm going to go with ever.
Yeah.
It may be the worst playoff collapse I've ever seen.
Counting game 4, when Embiid went over 12 to finish the game, should have won that one. Definitely should have won this one, up 25. The second half numbers were insane on this game. I mean, only 2 players scored a field goal for the 76ers in the entire second half.
Whoa.
Only 2 players.
That's not good.
Brutal. It's called brutal.
2 players on that NBA team could put the ball in the basket for an entire half.
The Hawks beat the Sixers last night, 109-106, outscored them 40-19 in the fourth quarter.
Oh my God.
That is they were down 18 going into the fourth quarter. Ben Simmons was 4 of 14 from the free throw line.
God.
So now I think we have to. I didn't want to go down this path, but I think we have to.
It's time.
Is Ben Simmons actually a star? Because I'm to the point of no. I'm to the point of he's a very good regular season basketball player. He's a very good defensive player. And then you get to the playoffs and this is what you get.
You know, I talked about it the other day. When you have to sit a $180 million man on the bench because he's unusable, it gets to a point to where what are you going to do? And Tommy brought it up this morning. What else are you going to put around this guy? You have Joel Embiid. You brought in Tobias Harris, who's a good mid-range shooter. You brought in all these shooters. You got Seth over there, obviously, who had a good game last night. Yeah. It gets really bad. I did feel that Joel Embiid was out to prove something after going 0 for 12 in the second half of the last game.
Yeah.
But I think he overshot himself and he played himself out of the game in the second half because he's still injured. He just went all at it and he kind of just shot a shot in the first half and done. He was done for the rest of the game.
I need you to understand, Ben Simmons is 12 of 39 from the free throw line this season.
Oh, my God.
Wow. That's is tough. Horrendous.
Beef, Ben Simmons.
I mean, the
balance, elbows, eyes, follow through.
The kid's been in the league since 2016, 2017. You know, he sat out that whole year to get acclimated to the NBA. You know, he was recovering from his injury. And then he's been playing for 4 years now. I mean, the kid knew he was going to be a first overall pick his junior year in high school. If over that amount of time, you can't get to the point where at least you're able to knock down free throws. I mean, you've seen Lonzo Ball's shot. Comes from the other side of his body, flicks his wrist the other way, looks ridiculous. If you saw him playing at the Y, you would think he's a scrub. And he shot, 39% from 3? Like, he got to a point where he's serviceable enough that with his playmaking, he can be out on the court. And he's worked at it. And every summer we see a clip. Oh, Ben Simmons has got his shot this summer. This is the summer he's been working on it. Look at him hitting all these threes with no one guarding him. He's really been working on it. It's a confidence thing. He doesn't have a thing in his brain that will let him shoot jumpers in a game, and that's going to translate to the free throw line. And I don't know what kind of sports psychologist or what kind of work he can put in to get to the point where he's able to shoot free throws in playoff games. But until then, it's going to be tough for the Sixers to win anything.
Guess how many Atlanta Hawks were in the plus minus as their starters yesterday?
0.
That was a 0.
It was 0.
None of their starters were positive, and they won the freaking game.
Lou Williams was plus 31.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling to me.
Yep. Their entire bench was plus. I mean, Solomon Hill plus 13. I can't even pronounce his name. Okongwu. Okongwu. And Gallinari are all positive. And it's just, ugh.
I mean, just in the second half, you had Lou Williams plus 26, Danilo Gallinari plus 24. So when the Sixers went to their bench, the Hawks bench straight outplayed them, got the momentum, and once you're, rolling downhill like that, once you only have 2 players going in a half and the other team starts to get momentum, I don't care what your lead is, in the NBA, leads can go that quick. With the three-point shot, as quick as everyone's getting the ball up and down the court and shooting, no lead is safe if you're just going to have 2 guys going, and honestly only one because Embiid was hurt. He's playing on one leg.
Oh, here's the thing. Everybody's going to talk about Ben Simmons today. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out how bad Tobias Harris was.
Oh, my God.
Tobias Harris was a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
What a third
Do you
star.
realize had Seth Curry not had one of the best games of his life, how bad the end of this would have actually been? Because it was Embiid and Seth Curry, and that was it. There was nothing else on this team that went right.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody needs to check on Steven Tao, make sure he's okay this morning.
Yeah, I haven't seen his name in the chat, which that makes me...
I already sent him condolences, guys.
Yeah, he's probably not the happiest dude in the world right now.
But, I mean, yes, Seth was 9 of 12 in the second half. Without him, I mean, I don't know, it would have been a blowout the other way, which is crazy to say because they were up 25, like, towards the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
It's insane that, they let that go away, that opportunity go. It's going to be really tough to go to Atlanta. I mean, I know they're going to be motivated, but it's going to be a tough go.
I honestly don't know how Philadelphia can win both of these games.
I don't think they can. I think Atlanta's going to win the series.
Yeah, and which is
unless
insane.
Ben Simmons shows up and does something otherworldly.
Yeah.
So that was the first game of the night. And then the second game of the night happened.
Oh, my God.
With no Kawhi Leonard. Mm-hmm. And with Terrence Mann being arguably the second best player on the team, the LA Clippers beat the Utah Jazz 119-111. Mm-hmm. Donovan Mitchell is hurt aggressively. Mm-hmm. I've talked about this on the ESPN show. Both days Tank's been gone. The injuries in the NBA are brutal.
Yeah.
And this is going to be what team is still alive at the end of this. There's not a team left that doesn't have a serious contributor that's hurt.
Yeah, it's
not one.
Almost. I mean, if Chris Paul misses time, it's going to be 9 All-Stars. 9 All-Stars that have missed time in these playoffs.
Guys,
and Jeremy went through some stats yesterday on the ESPN radio show. 880, 1400, 92.9, and all the iHeartRadio apps. Make sure you listen to us back. Tank's going to be back at 3 o'clock today.
That's the last I heard, yes.
Yes.
So I'm preparing that Tank will be here.
If not, you'll see my pretty ass out there. Well, not see it, but you'll hear my pretty ass out there.
I hope so, because we don't have a producer. It'll be Jeremy Figures Out Buttons.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's the button I'm allowed to use.
Yeah.
Guys, if we all just listen to our favorite NBA executive, LeBron James, about the season and when it should have started, this wouldn't be happening. If we all just let LeBron run the league and play and be GM and coach of the Lakers, we would all be better off. Mm-hmm. Hail King James.
I actually want him to just not talk. Go play for the Toon Squad and be done for the year.
Before we dove into this Clippers-Jazz game really heavy, though, I saw something on Twitter yesterday that really made me think, and it's relevant to the NBA playoffs. It's from my guy Oliver _Baltz on Twitter. My guy OZ Dupree from Reynolds. But he said, it is very interesting that Giannis and Simmons have hit what seems like an insurmountable wall in developing their skill at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And that honestly dawned on me that both of those guys are, people would say top 10 players in the league. Giannis, top 3 or 4 player in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know where their ceiling is at with their skills, like how they win a championship.
Milwaukee can't get
they
any
put
better.
everything around Milwaukee this year. Mm-hmm. Like if he can't win it this year, I just don't see a path to either one of them because they're not like Giannis has done better than Simmons as far as developing a shot and all those things. But I still don't see it at the point where he can just be clutch at the end of a playoff game and take them to a championship.
Yep.
I'm going to say something in reverse that I said earlier this week. I said Kyrie Irving could not play in the NBA in the mid-90s and be a star. Ben Simmons and Giannis Antetokounmpo are 25 years too late getting in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have fit in that go to the hole. Now, they still would have been able to shoot free throws, but they would have at least fit the league better.
Yeah.
The fact they were so good defensively would have mattered. It doesn't matter now because now everybody can score. And the fact that you can't score makes you borderline unusable.
In this NBA, if you can't shoot the ball, it's hard for them to find it. The big man is almost out of this game as it is. The traditional big man. The tall point guard who can't shoot is obsolete as well.
Yeah, and you would think, you can put a bunch of shooters around Simmons and be able to make up for what, he loses, but it's not like they're putting their guards on Ben Simmons. He's not going to shoot. You can stick your big man on him and basically have him playing zone in the paint. So people don't, he can't drive as easily to kick it out to open shooters because people aren't collapsing on him because whoever's defending him can just make sure they stay in front of him, stay in the paint, get a little bit of help if he does get, drive past you, but no one should have Ben Simmons driving past him because you're not worried about being within 5 feet of him when he's got the ball behind the key.
Here's the thing. Look at how the Clippers played last night.
Yep.
Ivica Zubac played 6 minutes. That was the only legitimate big they played.
Yeah.
They played positionless basketball for the entire game that worked.
Yeah, it did.
And that was against Rudy Gobert, who's one of the best defensive bigs in the NBA. That's where we're at. The Clippers figured something out last night. And, at the end of the day, Paul George was playoff P, not playoff PP.
He played really, really well. It was very surprising. And again, this is another – it's going to be very, very hard for Utah to win 2 games now. If Donovan Mitchell is not healthy and Mike Conley's not playing, they're in big trouble as well.
Donovan Mitchell still has the ability to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't think – I love Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
We got to give the good on you, Terrence Mann. One of my favorite Florida State Seminoles of all time.
Yeah.
Go Noles. But he did steal Rudy Gobert's soul. I'm pretty sure they won the game right when he did that.
Yeah,
it was still like a 2-point game, and then it was over.
He dunk-faced Rudy Gobert, and it was one of my happiest moments watching the NBA ever. But I do still think Donovan Mitchell can take the series up. Because at the end of the day, if he has 2 superhero, which we've seen him do in this playoff, I still think the Jazz can win the series.
Yeah, it's just going to be tough. I always find it hard when a team goes down 3-2 and they're going back to somebody's home. It just is. It's just hard to win at home. But it'd be crazy. Can you imagine that we end up with a conference finals that's going to have the Atlanta Hawks and a Kawhi Leonard-less Clippers team in there?
Pandemic P turned into playoff.
We're talking about, and if Chris Paul ends up missing time, this will be the
ratings will be through the roof.
Oh God, it's going to be so bad. And
Jonathan Wilts said it in the comments. Here's the saddest part: there's so much new blood and fresh teams in these playoffs, and nobody cares.
Yeah,
and that's the NBA's problem. That is the biggest problem they've had forever. And the thing is that we have to talk about this. Because it's the only sport actively happening right now, other than the U.S. Open, which starts today.
Yeah, I'm ready for this weekend.
The link to our DraftKings tournament is in the comments. I will put it back up momentarily. I found a way to, I think it will work. So I can resize the tournament field, so let's roll with it.
Put your money on Justin Thomas because I'm feeling good this weekend. Feeling loose.
Is it in the comments?
I've put it. It's in the description of the video.
Okay.
And I've put it in the comments a couple times.
Okay, right on.
It's 100% though in the description of this video.
Yes,
if you would like to play in our DFS contest,
you got about 30 minutes.
DraftKings.com for the U.S. Open. You have 27 minutes to get your lineup in. They tee off at 9:45, so everything locks then. But where I was headed with that, the NBA is the only sport that's actively happening right now, other than baseball. You know how I feel about baseball. And we're literally trying to rush through the NBA as quickly as we can to talk about a sport that will not play for 3 more months.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I did say just one last thing on the game, though. I said on Twitter and on the show the other day, Paul George is not good at being a Robin. He's got to have the ball in his hands to have confidence. He's a streaky player. And once he's scoring, he'll start doing the other parts of the game. Like he had 16 rebounds last night and 5 assists. If he did even half of what he did last night playing alongside Kawhi, he just doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how to sit there and watch Kawhi get his because that's the best option that they have when Kawhi is healthy. So there's no way, the team is better without Kawhi. But Paul George is markedly better without Kawhi.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if through seeing a game like last night, if the Clippers are going to realize they have to split these 2 guys up. I just don't see it working out with the both of them on the same team.
I just don't see Kawhi actually staying there for too much longer. I think he's a guy that's going to move on. And then I just don't know what the Clippers are going to do. So, which is funny because
let's be really
it's
honest.
tough. He handpicked Paul George.
Yeah.
Well, let's be really honest. All right, you beat the Jazz. You go to the conference finals. You play the Suns.
Yeah.
Is there any shot that series lasts more than 5 games?
absolutely not.
I would say absolutely not.
Maybe if Chris Paul's not playing, but
Chris Paul's going to play.
I've heard different things. I heard Kawhi tore his ACL, and then I heard that he's still not said anything.
There is a fear that he tore his ACL. They do not know the severity of the injury as of yet.
Because I heard
They didn't
certain
quite
people
realize how bad it was at first, and then I guess it swelled the day. It swelled yesterday. They realized how bad. Day before yesterday. They realized how bad it was. Then it didn't go down, and when it didn't go down, they went, "Uh-oh."
I watched Game 4, and I don't remember seeing anything happen.
He played on it. It was.
it was after that little bump when he went to the hole. He kind of landed awkwardly.
Yeah.
It
But he
wasn't
kept
like
playing.
a really huge contact. It's just those ones where you hop on one leg and it kind of you land awkwardly.
It just feels weird until
Yeah.
it's gone.
That's usually when those kind of injuries occur with the ACL. Is like you don't really see
But
it.
against the Jazz defense, for Marcus Morris to have 25, for Reggie Jackson to have 22, Terrence Mann to have 13. I mean, I don't, and it's weird because when you look at the Jazz box score, like they were pretty balanced. They had 6 players above 12 points. Bogdanovich had 32. So I mean, it's tough for the Jazz to swallow that they lost that game. But I still think the way they play. Donovan Mitchell being able to take over games. He had, not his best game of the playoffs, and I think they can turn it around and beat the Clippers in Game 6, force a Game 7, and then anything can happen.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that our boy Justin Parton is actually in the studio with us today, hanging out with us in the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different.
Hey, that's my line.
There was some good news out of the NBA yesterday for our area and for Tommy.
LaMelo Ball, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Stay mellow.
Do you realize that's only the second year-long award for this Hornets franchise? Emeka Okafor won Rookie of the Year with the Bobcats.
Yeah.
Now, Larry Johnson won Rookie of the Year in 91. Dale Curry won Sixth Man in 94.
But those
went to the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Because that's that franchise.
That's how that works.
Even though you're in the same city, you're not the same franchise.
And you had the same name.
Looking at you, Cleveland Browns and Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
It's not been the most fun being a Charlotte NBA fan, through the Bobcats years and all those things. But I'll be honest, I was wrong about LaMelo. I wasn't that worried about his competition like some people were. I've seen him play against NBA players and, kind of hold his own. But I just did not think the shooting would be where it is. And I did not think that he would give the energy that he gives in transition on offense on defense as well.
Yeah.
I mean, watching Hornets games was actually fun this year. And I was worried, like, we've got, 3 point guards. How is this going to work out? Who's going to, have the ball in their hands? Because Gordon Hayward's also kind of a wing facilitator. I wasn't sure how all the pieces would go together. I wasn't sure if LaMelo was just going to be another version of Lonzo that was good at playmaking, would throw the long, creative, fun passes here and there, but you couldn't really trust to win you games. But he was way beyond what I expected. He's brought energy to the franchise. We still are going to need some pieces, but the things that he does, I understand that Anthony Edwards looked good as a scorer, but he's kind of one-dimensional at this point as a rookie. Tyrese Halliburton does a little bit of everything, and he's a good player, but he did not have the impact. I don't think either guy had near the impact that LaMelo had on the Hornets this year.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% got it wrong. I was actually laughing out loud when the Hornets drafted LaMelo Ball. I literally was like, here we go again.
Which makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that was your take of this with them sitting right there. To me, the best player in this draft fell to them at 3, and I said that the day it happened.
I honestly just didn't think he would be that good. I thought he wasn't strong enough to play in the league. His shot was a little bit weird, and I didn't think he could play defense. So I felt like there was going to be a niche for him in this league. I just didn't think it would be to the extent that he played. Yeah. And I'll 100% admit I was wrong. I just feel like they need to kind of clear the decks a little bit of all the point guards that they have, kind of give the team and start building around him. If they could maybe get rid of one of those guards and get a big man, that would be the ideal way to go about this. Who's out there,
Well, there's going to be a lot of players out there. There's going to be a lot of movement this offseason.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that. Next year, it might be more so because I think half the teams in the NBA have cap space next offseason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like 2 this one.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of trades, which trades are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, their new favorite thing in the NBA offseason is a sign and trade deal that has been kind of driving me crazy.
Yeah.
With Kristaps? You want to go get the unicorn?
That's some things that I've heard. Those are that rumors
that's been reported.
Yeah.
They would be intrigued by the idea of adding Kristaps Porzingis.
And I would not be intrigued by the thought of that whatsoever. Yeah, why would you want an injured, overpaid? I mean, he had like one decent year with the Knicks where he looked like he could be something and hasn't been anything since. If you can't find a role on a Luka Doncic-led Mavericks team to, contribute more than he has, I don't see him being some stud superstar on the Hornets. I'd rather allocate the money elsewhere. And LaMelo's just a different type of kid. Like, he knew since he was, 12, 11, that all he wanted to do was go to the NBA. He didn't have the whole facade of, saying you need to go to school, you need to go to college, you need to do all these things and maybe see if the NBA works. Be it delusional or not, that family and LaMelo knew since he was a young kid when he was an 8th grader playing varsity in California high school basketball that he was going to go to the NBA. And I don't know if he just developed this much his time in Europe, but through, when you see an interview with him and all he says is, yeah, that cool. Like when a reporter asks him two paragraph long question and he answers back with no cap. You're just like, is this guy going to be able to go to the NBA and be a face of a franchise? And does he care enough? But he did. He was so fun to watch. He got his teammates energized. I feel better about the Hornets than I pretty much ever have. So I think we're still a couple years away. We need some more pieces, but they're going in the right direction, and I'm glad LaMelo got Rookie of the Year for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our obligatory NBA discussion. 2 topics that I want to cover in the NFL. First one we actually talked about on the ESPN show yesterday, and I have to bring it up here because any opportunity I get to make fun of Baker Mayfield, I'm going to take. Baker Mayfield came out yesterday and basically said the extension will handle itself. And I feel like the Cleveland Browns are trying to tell you something with how they're handling Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's going down a path to where I could see this being a franchise next year and then seeing what happens. I just feel like you're in this bad position with Baker because your team is winning. And it's not necessarily because of the quarterback, but that quarterback can say, we're winning, add me as the quarterback. I mentioned something about him maybe breaking the mold and possibly taking less money to build around it for a team. And Jeremy was just like, does Baker really seem like that kind of guy? And I was like,
I could possibly see
but it's just, you can't tell the guy that you can make $40 million a year and tell him, hey, how about taking 25?
Baker's not taking a discount.
Yeah.
It's not happening. It's just straight up not happening.
Yeah.
The Tom Brady rules are out the window. You're not going to see a guy do that moving forward. Here's my question, and it's been my question. When has a team ever re-signed, extended a mediocre to slightly above average quarterback, and it worked?
And that's going to be never.
I think there is one.
Okay.
And it's Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I think Baltimore can extend Lamar Jackson. Yes, you're going to lose some of the ancillary pieces, but you've already lost those.
Yeah.
The thing about the Ravens is they draft so well, and they replenish things. The conversation we're going to get into after this is biggest offseason mistake for every NFL team.
Yeah.
Bleacher Report put out an article about the biggest mistake that every team made in the offseason and the thing they're going to regret the most. Well, what they had for the Ravens was letting Matthew Judon and Yannick Ngakoue walk out the door.
Yeah.
I agree on Ngakoue. I don't agree on Matthew Judon.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. We've watched them do this time and time and time again.
Yeah.
I mean, how many edge rushers have the Ravens had, and they just go draft another one?
Yeah.
They just find another guy. If they don't find another guy, they go trade for another guy. And they have built this offense completely around Lamar. I look at Baker and go, you're a 62% completion guy with Odell Beckham, with Jarvis Landry, with all of the weapons that you have. How in the hell do you think you're going to get better with lesser weapons?
Yeah, because they're not going to be able to re-sign a lot of these guys. Look at them. Do you like having, like John Johnson, their safety that they got from Los Angeles? They're not going to be able to keep him around. There's
They just signed him to how long of a deal?
They can get out after 2 years.
Oh, okay.
There's a thing where they were able to add a lot of pieces over the last couple years to make this team deep, and we all agree the Cleveland Browns team is deep and really good.
They're all in right now, yeah.
But once you start having to pay Baker the $40 million a year, there's a lot of these guys that aren't going to be able to go, so you're going to start losing piece by piece by piece by piece. And the problem is that here's the thing too. We brought this up yesterday. There's 2 other superstars on this team that are up for extensions as well: Nick Chubb, Denzel Ward. You can't pay all 3 of them.
Nope.
So and then what are you going to do? You start losing those pieces already.
They'll have Jedrick Wills in a couple years.
Yeah, and so it's just you're starting to get to that point to where how long can this sustain? And they're in that weird position because they are going to be a good team. They are going to win. I feel like they can at least win another playoff game. I think they can. They're just in a bad position because they're going to be winning. It's almost like you would rather your guy not be so good, your team not be so good when you have a mediocre quarterback.
And it's tough to. I'm not as down on Baker as Jeremy is. He did cut his interceptions from 21 in 2019 to 8 last year. He was only down 200-300 yards in his total passing yards. So he's making improvements to the point where I don't know if a franchise can say, all right, you're going in the right direction. We won 11 games. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to pay you. But I also think that for Baker to thrive, he can't be on a team that needs to air it out, that needs to, he's got to be in the system that he's in, running the ball with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, having a good line, having, a Jarvis Landry that's a good, guy on third down that can find the open spots in the defense. He's not some big play quarterback. He can do what he's asked to do in that offense, but he's going to have to do it really well this year to get paid the money that he wants. And I think they can work something out that's not quite $40 million a year.
He's not worth $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Straight up, he's not. Baker Mayfield is all right, I'm looking at the salary cap table, the cap spend on quarterbacks. I get into the 15 range before I see consistent guys that he's better than. Is he better right now than Derek Carr? I think it's really damn close.
Yeah.
I think it's who he is. Derek Carr makes $25 million a year. Baker Mayfield thinks he's worth $40 million a year. That is a problem. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is as something that I didn't get to get into as much with the ESPN radio show yesterday. If I'm Andrew Berry, there is a case study happening right now in the NFL that will tell me, can this work? And it's the Washington football team. Washington missed on Dwayne Haskins, tapped out. RG3 had the injury thing. So you've used 2 top 15 picks on quarterbacks in the last 8 years?
Yeah.
Both were busts. Aggressive busts. So Washington goes, okay, well, we built the team. The team's still good. We still have the weapons. We still have the defense. Let's go get a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's go get a guy that we've seen be a winner in this league. Has he won playoff games? No. But he's been a winner. And he's better than what a rookie is going to provide us. What stops the Cleveland Browns from doing the exact same thing?
It'd be hard. And I mentioned a name on the radio show, like, would you see this team being as good, for example, like if they just decided to cut ties with Baker and go with like a Mitchell Trubisky? Because he's
and to me, you're going too low there.
Well, what other? I guess it would have to be a backup quarterback in this league that you would think about.
Well, you have to look at what's going to be around.
Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, what is going to happen at the time that this comes due, right? It's either time to extend him or franchise him or let him go or whatever it is. In negotiations, in business, and everything, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you have the leverage to negotiate.
Yeah.
So we've seen so many times that teams that have championship aspirations don't want to pay top dollar for someone, but when they're trying to get to a championship, if there's not someone on the market that they see as the same or better, if it's going to look to their franchise like they're going with someone less because they don't want to pay, they have to pony up that money. And it's not worked out. It's hurt a lot of franchises.
It's never worked.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. Like it's in the year that you get paid. Should he be higher paid than Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, all these guys?
No.
Hell no.
But
when the cap's at the, where it is, when his contract's due, that's when people get these huge deals and you're like, wait, who leads the league in money? It's insane.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
we were talking about the extensions and things like that. There's been one team that's ever looked at a quarterback and gone, "You're not the guy," and let him hit the open market, and he got money from somewhere else. It's Kirk Cousins. Let me ask you a question. Is the Washington football team better right now with Kirk Cousins than they are with Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I don't think so.
I know it's not so.
I don't
and
know if there's
why.
much. I don't know if
Because you
there's
couldn't have afforded to add guys like William Jackson and Curtis Samuel. You would have had to have moved the numbers around and kicked the can down the road to be as competitive as you are right now. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe there are two kinds of teams in this league. And now I need to put a massive disclaimer on this. The teams that do this, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. You're not. Mediocre quarterbacks will never win Super Bowls. At least, I mean, there might be a random stars crossing in the night kind of thing.
Like a Trent Dilfer with a
21 years ago.
But you got to remember how good that defense team was. I mean, Brad Johnson was a Pro Bowler before he got to Tampa.
There it is. So I hate the Brad Johnson thing.
Yeah.
Because he had been to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. So there's guys like Rich Gannon. And again, these are all like 10, 20 years ago we're talking about. Let me ask you this, Jeremy. Is there a guy that you feel could possibly hit the open market next year at quarterback that you could look at and say, in 2 years? So you feel like maybe if they just franchise him next year
they kicked in the team option. The team option doesn't kick in for another year.
Oh, okay.
You have to do the team option a year ahead.
I'm sorry. I guess I wasn't.
2 years out.
So is there any guy that you feel like could be on the market at that time, which it could give them the Ryan Fitzpatrick effect in Washington?
There's one, but it has to go not exactly the way it needs to where he's at right now. Sam Darnold. That's the guy. I've gone through the entire league. That's the guy. That's the leverage. But if Carolina decides not to re-sign him, they pull the Kirk Cousins with him. Let's say he's good, not great. And Carolina decides young team doesn't fit rules, whatever the hell the case may be.
Because they can get out of that contract.
And they got 2 years too.
Yeah.
So Baker and Darnold are on the same, they were drafted the same year, so they're on the same schedule. Let's just say they decide, we want a rookie or we, whatever they decide. Mm-hmm. And Darnold hits the open market. I have long said Sam Darnold is a more talented quarterback than Baker Mayfield is. Mm-hmm. Why would you not make the run at Darnold at 10 to 12 to 15 million a year? Do you think, as opposed to paying Baker 35?
Would they be able to write that off to the franchise though? If he's not good enough for the Panthers to keep around when the Panthers have been QB desperate, will they say, okay, we're going from Baker to this guy that couldn't make it with the Jets and then couldn't make it with the Panthers, two teams that aren't exactly, quarterback dynasties or anything over here. Yeah. So why, if he isn't good enough to take these teams to the playoffs, why are we going to throw him into a spot where we've already had a quarterback that's taken us to the playoffs? What about someone like this is obviously having to deal. What happens if the Vikings see that Mond is good and Kirk Cousins leaves?
That's another one. That's another one that makes sense.
Yeah, because he could get that.
Here's what I'll tell you.
I could see that being something.
Here's what I'll tell you. Mm-hmm. Where did Andrew Berry come from? He worked for two teams that weren't the Browns in the last 10 years.
I don't know, actually.
Colts and the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Two teams that have learned the lesson the hard way. Yeah. With quarterbacks. Now, what you said is the caveat. Can you sell it to the fan base? I have no idea. That's the shitty part about it. I get condemned all the time for saying I'd rather be real good or real bad. Yeah. Because you get into situations like the Cleveland Browns, where Cleveland has not been this competitive in 25 years. Mm-hmm. And the fan base loses their shit of, we're competitive, and you think you're a Super Bowl contender. I got news for you. You're not. You're not. With the Bills, I get Josh Allen. With the Chiefs, I get Pat Mahomes. With the Green Bay Packers, I get Aaron Rodgers. With Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I get Tom Brady. With you, I get Baker Mayfield. One of these things is not like the others.
And the Browns' defense is not
you're not a Super Bowl contender. Yeah. I mean, it's good. All of the ancillary pieces are good. You're not winning with ancillary pieces. I mean, really think about it. The ancillary pieces with Tampa Bay, all of those guys, not all, but the vast majority of those guys were there with Jameis Winston when they win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Yeah. They didn't make the playoffs with Jameis Winston because he turned the ball over all the damn time.
And Jeremy mentioned this too, like the perfect example of what happens to your team when you give them this money that was there is the Philadelphia Eagles. They were Super Bowl champions, and 2 years later they are a complete dumpster fire. And
think about this.
A lot of the reasons they gave money to the Carson
offseason after the Super Bowl. if the Philadelphia Eagles had looked at Carson Wentz and said, you're injury prone, and gotten the value for him then, they could have gotten 2 1s at that time. I have that on really good authority. There were teams that would have given them 2 1s for Carson Wentz. You ride with Big Dick Nick. At the end of the day, do you not think they'd be in better shape than they are right now?
I feel like, and I look at that, and I look at it, and I'm saying they probably would be. I just don't know. I feel like they still would have had to give Foles a decent amount of money because he. Well,
they would have. But that's what happened.
But it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been
Carson Wentz money.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't have been the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history.
Yeah, they just said.
And you would have had a couple first-round picks to add talent around Foles. Keep the guys around. You don't have to lose guys.
Yeah.
And I think firmly the team would have been better.
And all these things are great and all that, and this is what we would do, and this is obvious, what we would do. It's just that's going to be hard for a team to sell to them that they're just going to cut ties with Baker.
But now I want you to think about what you just said. Think about the teams that are the best in the NFL. Historically, over the last, let's say, 20 years.
Yeah.
Teams that have been the most consistently good. You know what they all have in common? They say bye to a guy a year early and a year late. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, Green Bay Packers.
Well, not so much Pittsburgh anymore.
That's fantastic.
They were 14
I know they won
12-0 last year.
Yeah, I know. But they're just.
I think they still apply.
It's going to be a little rough for them after this year, I think, though.
I'm talking about the way they have been.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, the reason it's going to be rough for them after this year is because they made an exception with Ben.
Yeah.
You could have had a bad year this year, wound up with a quarterback next year, and been set for a long time because there's still good talent on that team.
They are, yeah, 100%.
The Pittsburgh fan base is not one that, sits down and takes not going to the playoffs or not trying easily, so I understand. But
and I'll be honest with you, the Pittsburgh fan base, they were ready to move on from Ben. There are a couple people in the comments that either are Steelers fans or are very close with Steelers fans.
I know a lot
they'll echo the sentiment.
I know a lot of Steelers fans, and they were calling for Ben to leave a couple years ago.
Stephen Tao said by the time Baker's contract's up that Duck Hodges should be available.
Yes.
So I'm in on that.
Duck's actually available right now. We had for the low price
for a hot dog.
$29.99.
Yeah. For some bubble gum and some envelopes, you can have Duck Hodges be your starting quarterback.
But that's always been it's so funny to me that one of the most common phrases we use with fans is a narrative that we don't allow.
Yeah.
We've all heard the saying, if you listen to the fans, you'll be sitting with them soon enough. The only way you extend Baker is if you're listening to the fans. That's the only way. You can't look at the play on the field and go, yes, he's worth $35 million.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck who you are. You be the rosiest colored glasses Baker Mayfield apologist on planet Earth. Would you like me to tell you the quarterbacks that make $35 million in this league? It's Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, and Patrick Mahomes. You know who Baker Mayfield doesn't belong with? Those 4.
Yeah.
And I've heard he's after 40.
That's crazy.
Which is insanity. It's what Lamar Jackson's after, too. Lamar Jackson's going to get closer.
Yeah. I don't see them not re-signing Baker for a free agent that, other teams have passed on, or, if it is a high caliber free agent, it would be as much money as Baker. So I don't see them doing that. But Andrew Berry, he's a really good, guy as far as draft capital and trades. I could see them when the time comes trading some picks, some players, whatever, to get up into a position to get a young quarterback that they can sell the fan base on. Okay, this guy's got more talent. Give us a year or two, but he can take us farther.
There's just nobody next year, though. They wouldn't be able to get up.
I mean, it wouldn't be next year. 2 years. Yeah. So we don't know, everything changes.
What's in the draft 2 years from now.
Of course.
2 years from now
changes.
2 years from now is going to be markedly better than
Of course, Jeremy knows. He knows who the next 5. There's a guy playing junior in that's Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Arch Manning. It's Arch Manning.
Yeah. If you need a quarterback 5 years from now, Arch Manning's going to be that guy. If you haven't seen the video of him at Texas, he's everything he was sold to be.
Oh, yeah, there was that. And then he was at the Clemson camp, too, and he threw that deep ball. I mean, it was just fucking perfect.
All right, so I'm going to say something in the comment. Or Stephen Tao said something in the comments that I want to comment on. He said Drew Lock to Pittsburgh. Let me be... I just want to hear your opinions because I'm dead set in mine. How much difference is there between Drew Lock and Baker Mayfield?
I mean, I think
honestly,
I think Baker Mayfield's a much better quarterback.
I think he's better.
I haven't seen Drew Lock perform in a playoff game.
Is it the difference between Pat Mahomes and Baker Which is bigger? The difference between Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield or Baker Mayfield and Drew Lock? Because to me, it's not even close. Drew Lock is closer to Baker Mayfield than Baker Mayfield is to Pat Mahomes. Or Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers or any of those guys.
I think it's a little bit closer than you would think.
I just think when you have championship aspirations, you can't downgrade even if it's a little bit to your fan base. If you're trying to win a championship, you've got all these other pieces. I just don't see a way that they can.
It just would have to be, Drew Lock would have to do, I don't know. It's just that there's a lot of.
They trusted in Drew Lock so much in Denver that they brought in Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah. Let me ask you, all right, just fun question. How, in terms of ranking them in the NFL, the weapons around Baker Mayfield you would put where? Top 5, top 10?
No, there's a lot of teams that are loaded. I think Denver's weapons are actually better than Cleveland's weapons, to be honest with you.
Depends.
There's a lot. I don't agree with you, but
you don't feel
I get Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry in one. I get two, and I love Cortland Sutton. I love Jerry Jeudy. I've seen way more from the first two I said than the latter.
And the running backs.
There's a lot of projection.
Odell Beckham, honestly, what has he done in the last 3 years?
He's a top 15 receiver.
He's been hurt.
I know.
He was a top 5 receiver in the NFL with Eli Manning. Yeah. I really want you to think about what you just said. All right, what's Odell Beckham done? Who's his quarterback? you think he just regressed going to Cleveland? All of a sudden he wasn't the same guy? No.
Well, that's why Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer.
I don't disagree with you. It hurt me to say that. But
I know
I don't
it did.
disagree with you.
I just wanted to throw that jab in there.
Fun question. How many quarterbacks that qualified last year were less accurate than Baker Mayfield?
I don't know that.
35 qualified.
Less accurate than him?
Mm-hmm. Percentage-wise? Completion percentage?
15?
It's 5. It's Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, and Drew Lock. That's throwing to Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Odell Beckham Jr., and having those two dudes on the back.
Why do I feel like Baker's way more?
Because it's a myth that's perpetrated because he was accurate in college. He's never been, the best he's ever been in a year, I think, is 63.9%.
Yeah.
Somebody would have to check Pro Football Reference to fact check me on that, but I'm 99% sure I'm right.
Yeah.
He's not an accurate guy with elite weapons and a really good offensive line.
Yeah. You actually said yesterday that Carson Wentz's completion percentage was actually better than his last year, and I thought that was absolutely insane. It wasn't much higher, but it was 2 percentage points higher. And Carson Wentz was throwing to absolutely nobody.
Mm-hmm. Baker's I think always been more of a competitor than a really skilled football player. I think he has motivated teammates. He is passionate and really cares about the game. He can pump some people up. He can go into a huddle and say, all right, let's go run it down their throats. But I think he's more of that than he is real great passer of the football. I think that for what they ask him to do, they ask him to be a leader, hand the ball off. When you've got to get a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, get it to one of your great receivers or tight ends. Mm-hmm. So, I understand that he's, not one of the best quarterbacks. I just don't know if they're going to be able to get into the fan base.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to what Kevin Stefanski thinks about Baker Mayfield. Because
it 100% will.
Because this is his offense moving forward, and the Kevin Stefanski offense doesn't ask the quarterback to do a lot. It's more predicated to running the football. It could be a situation where Stefanski could say, I like Baker in the situation, or Kevin Stefanski can also say, hell, I could do this with anybody.
Well, so I went down a rabbit hole with Baker Mayfield. I looked at every bust in the last 8 years, guys that are considered busts. And I thought about the weapons that were put around them and the situation they were in, and then I mentally put them in Cleveland with this team. You think Marcus Mariota would be better than Baker Mayfield with this team?
I just saw that in the...
I do.
I don't know.
I don't. I think Marcus Mariota is a more talented quarterback. And this kind of goes to the point that I've tried to make with all of the draft things I've done. It all matters where you get drafted. It 100% matters. If Sam Darnold had been in Cleveland and Baker Mayfield had been with the Jets, which one do you think would be on his second team in 4 years? It's Baker.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt. Baker Mayfield would have been a fucking train wreck behind that offensive line.
Oh, yeah, it would have been real bad.
Throwing to those weapons, he would have been a 55% completion guy.
And I think Sam Darnold's going to show you that this year.
I agree. And so that's my point, is that you're going to pay a guy based on what you've seen at the high end.
Yeah.
It ain't going to get better. And then you look at, I think Baker Mayfield, from a sheer quarterback throwing standpoint, is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
Is there anything that
But they built the team around him.
Yeah. And I agree with that 100% because I was thinking that same thing. Is there any way that you could see a progression in Baker Mayfield and you can say that he's worth it? What can Baker do this year in your mind? Because I know that you already have an idea of what Baker can do. Let's just say he ends up getting 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. They make it to either the conference, finals or something like that. And he has a really good year. Are you still going to kind of look at his past, or are you going to say he's made the regression, I can give him that money? Because
you're asking me what could Baker do that would change my mind?
Yeah.
Nothing. Not with this team.
So
with a defense that good, with weapons this good, with Kevin Stefanski, nothing. Mm-hmm. Nothing is going to convince me because I've seen the bad. I've seen him be that god-awful, inaccurate quarterback. I've seen him be that god-awful decision maker. I've seen all these things. But see, you understand, my answer to that's a little biased.
Yeah.
Because I go all the way back to when I evaluated him out of college.
Yeah.
And it's all of the same things that I've seen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can put a turd in a nice bowl, it's still a turd. And that's how I look at Baker Mayfield. He's still a poo that's surrounded by really nice things. And I feel like if you take the nice things away, then you have what he really is at the heart.
Right.
That's what I'm afraid.
He can have this great year, but after you take these things away from him, you're going to see you're going to have the regression of what he was before.
That's my thing for his offense and for what Kevin Stefanski wants him to do. I don't think Jeremy will see a progression in him as far as, his throwing. His throwing skills aren't going to get that much better. But he was 21-8 touchdown to interception ratio last year.
And I hate that stat because it's very misleading.
But that's what I'm saying. The only place that he can really progress and look better to people is in that decision making. So if he does what he's asked to do even better in Stefanski's offense, they're not going to get rid of him. If he comes out and does get 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and he's not turning the ball over, he's handing the ball off, he's getting them into the right checks, he's studying his playbook and getting the Browns in a position to make it to a Super Bowl or an AFC championship, they're not going to get rid of him no matter
What happens if he wins the Super Bowl?
Well, then, of course, he's not going anywhere.
Would you change your mind then?
Would I change my mind on what he is?
No, I mean,
all right. I need to actually answer the question that you asked me.
Yeah.
Here's how you could change my mind.
Okay.
He could not be 20th in the NFL in pass attempts behind guys that didn't play all 16 games.
Yeah.
He's being asked to do virtually nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you do realize that,
yeah,
right?
I know.
He's being asked to do nothing.
These are a lot of what ifs.
Nothing. He's being asked to do very little.
Yeah.
Which is Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, to me, and Baker Mayfield are very equivalent players. The difference is Ryan Tannehill's been put in a system, and he is paid in a way because he busted Miami.
Yeah.
And so, yes, now he's got the money. I can't tell you that contract's going to age well.
Yeah.
But they've put him in a system to succeed. They're putting Baker in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
The problem is I have absolutely no faith in the Browns to continue doing that. You have to be able to keep drafting this way and add the cheap talent. And did they have a good draft this year? Absolutely. And I believe in Andrew Berry.
Yeah. And Stephen Towle just hit the nail on the head. Dilfer won a Super Bowl and they got dropped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can
and
win.
that was also 20 years ago.
And you can win a Super Bowl and not be the quarterback the next year. I mean, that's so.
And
Nick Foles was not the quarterback the next year. I mean, So I get it. There's a lot of what ifs in these scenarios that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just, I said this yesterday. I just think the Browns are in a no-win position because their team is so good when it comes to this decision, and it is going to hurt them. And it is a product of the quarterbacks being paid the way that they are. It's hard not to give those guys the money, But I think
they've got 2 years to work it out, and if they don't get better, if they don't go farther in the playoffs than they have been, you could see a lot more changes than just Baker in 2 years.
And it's going to take someone. It's going to take someone like a Barry or someone to just say, you know what, I'm going to be the first to do this decision. I'm going to cut the ties, and then it's going to need to succeed after that.
Yeah.
So, let's just say in 2 years they drop Baker, they bring in Kirk Cousins, they bring in whoever they bring in, and they're still good. Then I think that's going to have teams looking at this situation a little bit differently going to the future. I think we're going to need a situation like that to happen before we stop seeing these kind of things happen as well.
I guess the point I'm trying to prove is is right now you've got superstar talent. You've got all of these things around Baker, and you're hiding him to an extent. Mm-hmm. I feel like you can do that with a lot of guys. I feel like you can do that with Kirk Cousins, who, by the way, Kevin Stefanski has a really
and that's why I brought that name up, too, because it makes a lot of sense.
I feel like you can do that with a lot of guys that you don't have to pay that much money to. The league right now, and now granted, the league is getting ready to explode in terms of cap.
Especially from this year.
With the new TV deal, all of the things, you're going to see the cap get back to where it was supposed to. The bad thing is that you're going to force a lot of decisions where the cap's not going to be where it was supposed to. And Baker's going to be one of those. Because the cap's not going to jump $25 million. It's just not. And I know they set the ceiling and all those things. Oh, it could be 208. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. The owners are not going to give that up if they don't have to.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think it's going to go as high as people are thinking it is? I mean, it's gonna blast out from now, but this is obviously an albatross.
I would say it goes. You're at 182.5 right now. I would say it goes to 198.5 next year. That's kind of splitting the difference. The owners win a little bit there, so I could be convinced all the way up to probably 202.5. The year after that's where the TV deal kicks in. Probably goes to 220.
Stadiums will be packed this year.
And then I would say you're in the 230-ish range 3 to 4 years from now.
Yeah.
The problem is that you got to make the decision on Baker 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to be in that 208 to 12 range.
And I agree with Tommy. I think every stadium is going to be packed this year. I mean, I think even Jacksonville is going to
for a few weeks. Oh, yeah, Jacksonville will be rabid until about week 6. Then you're going to see a lot of tarps on the upper deck.
Yeah.
Get a free 50-yard line seat with the purchase of a small Coke.
You get a free Tim Tebow bobblehead.
I was amazed how many Jaguars fans there were in Charlotte when we went to that Panthers-Jaguars game.
It's insane, yeah.
Minshew Mania was running wild at the time. Everybody was in their jorts and their headbands.
Minshew Mania is over with. He cut off his mullet, so he's lost all his mojo. He's gone.
They lost.
Gardner Minshew, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
But
the Panthers won by like at least 2 touchdowns, and walking out of the stadium, everyone was chanting Duval in Charlotte.
Yeah.
What is happening? Who are these degenerates?
It happens in Charlotte. Charlotte's one of those
now.
stadiums that drive me crazy. If the Panthers are good, they're full of Panthers fans. If the Panthers are mediocre, it's full of the other team's fans.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. I lived there for 20 years. I used to be able to walk up to the stadium, tailgate my butt off, get hammered, wait till 5 minutes after and get a ticket for $10. It was awesome.
My 16th birthday, my uncle took me to a Panthers game and said, "We can scalp the tickets easy, no problem. We'll just get them when we get down there." Got down there and it was a Redskins game, so there was no tickets anywhere.
No, because every single Panthers, I mean, they were all Redskins fans pretty much. So
we watched it from a bar when I was 16. He was like, "Sorry about the ticket thing. Here's a beer."
Yeah, here you go.
I will say, because this has become a popular topic the last few weeks in the media market that we're in, which is in the Asheville, Charlotte, Greenville media market, the narrative of David Tepper buying his own stadium. Can we stop that? I've heard, and I'm not going to call these people out because I like a couple of them. I've heard people that do media in this market say, "Well, David Tepper's worth billions of dollars. He should just buy the stadium himself instead of asking the taxpayers of Charlotte." Blah, blah, blah. I cannot wrap my head around how stupid that take is. Because you do realize if he owns the stadium, he makes all the profit from the stadium too. Dumb. You want the taxpayers to pay for part of the stadium. So that you can put things back into the economy.
And guess what? That ain't happening in Charlotte.
No, it's going to happen on the other side of Rock Hill.
Yeah.
Hey, if I had a wager, I would say yes, Carolina's going to have a new stadium, and it's probably going to be on the South Carolina side of the border.
Which is fine because they're not necessarily the North Carolina Panthers anyway. So
no, and that's the bad thing is that I'm afraid it will hurt moving away from the city of Charlotte. I know they're it's closer to Concord.
Well,
it's hard enough to sell free agents on coming to North Carolina or South Carolina anyway.
Well, Rock Hill has actually been, I mean, the outskirts of Charlotte have grown so much that the small towns that once were there 25 years ago are now actually pretty big cities.
Yeah, Rock Hill's actually a town.
Yeah.
I've been there pretty recently.
Yeah, it's growing up. I
still think it'll be tough to get a free agent
I think what you're seeing
in
Asheville and Greenville is what you saw in Charlotte 25 years ago.
Here's the thing. One of the guys that said that is on our network. And I really didn't want to say it on the ESPN show, but it's just been bugging the shit out of me.
And you like him.
And I do like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But that take is completely misguided, and it's never going to happen. I feel like people between Jerry Jones and Woody Johnson and the Mara family, there has been this, well, they bought their own stadium. And Jerry Jones's wealth has gone through the roof based on Jerry World.
Jerry World is not just a football stadium. There is a concert or a tournament or something going on there all the time. So he used that as part of that as well.
Absolutely.
So let's get into this.
Well, we're actually out of time.
Oh,
so
are we?
We'll have to pay. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Oh, be damned.
That's a slightly more involved topic.
We all do that. Let's talk about that tomorrow.
We'll put a pin in that one for tomorrow. Feel free to, I'll make a little graphic for it. Send in your team's worst move of the offseason. We'll basically spend the entire show tomorrow because, frankly, the basketball thing, I need stuff to stop happening because I really don't want to talk about it.
I know you don't.
If at all possible, I don't want to talk.
But guess what? Jeremy will not be here tomorrow morning.
Nope, I will not be here tomorrow.
So we might actually talk a little bit of some other things.
A little bit of America's game?
Well, that's
golf?
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this weekend to watch the golf, 100%. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, Stephen Tauk. God bless your soul, because I would have completely forgotten to do that. Yes. Father's Day is just a few days away.
Oh, yeah.
Go to manscaped.com. Use promo code SPORTSOCRACY, because let's face it, all of our first homes were our father's balls, and it's time for you to get that home a long overdue housewarming present. Go to manscaped.com. Use our promo code SPORTSOCRACY. Get 20% off your entire purchase and free shipping worldwide just for using our promo code. Manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Or dad's balls will thank you.
Yeah.
Or the neighbor's balls will thank you.
Lawnmower 4.0. They got the Weed Whacker, which cleans up the little nostril hairs. If you're old as dirt like me, maybe could use a little hair trimming on the ears as well.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
I have one of those, and it's quite lovely.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
For Brian Haynes and Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene. This has been The Sportsocracy. Be sure to like and subscribe. Click the little thumbs up so you'll know every time we go live here in The Sportsocracy. Every weekday morning, 9 a.m., we will be on the radio side. It should be Tank Spencer and myself, 3 p.m. this afternoon. 92.9, 880, and 1400 here in Asheville. You can find us anywhere. Take us anywhere you go with the iHeartRadio app. All you have to do is search The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene. There is an E on the end of my last name. It'll populate on iHeart, and you can take us anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
We'll see you at 3 this afternoon on the radio side, right back here at 9 a.m. in the morning